Hi, my name's Ray with Austin Air Company. Today's topic is going to be how to reset your air conditioning breaker. Now, first off, we want to touch off on a few safety items to be concerned with. You know, if your electric panel is leaning in any way, or there's any bare exposed wires, don't do anything that's going to affect your safety. You know, you're better off getting a professional to take a look at it. But you know, if your breaker panel has got the panel all put on and there's no bare wires, then you can proceed and you should be able to reset it without too much trouble. We will go over some pointers to show you that if you're unable to reset the breaker, what you need to do under those circumstances. One thing to realize is that the electric breaker is there for your protection. The reason why that breaker is popping is typically there's a reason behind it. Typically, you know, if you're able to reset it, then it was probably either due to a power surge or a thunderstorm that came through the area and caused the breaker to pop. Now, in the event that you try to reset the breaker and it immediately pops again, that's typically an indication that you'll want to get some help and take a further look at it. You always want to realize that that breaker's there to protect the dwelling and to prevent a fire. So you know, if your breaker keeps continually popping excessively, then you should get the system looked out wherever the breaker is going to. So keep those things in mind, and we'll go over. We'll take you out to the panel and show you how to reset your AC breaker. Okay, this is typical for what an electrical panel looks like. Notice that it's firmly attached to the wall. It's not hanging off or anything dangerous. So that's one thing that you want to make sure before you go to the electric panel, that it's firmly attached and it's not loose or anything like that. Otherwise, you should contact a professional electrician, licensed electrician in your area. So with that said, we come over and we open it up cautiously. Obviously, we don't want to be exposed to any bare wires or anything. So we open it up and we see that the panel on the inside is on and there's no loose wires hanging out or anything, because the last thing you want to do is open it up and get shocked. So once you've opened it up and you've looked and you've made sure, basically you look down at all the breakers on this particular manufacturer breakers. They've got an on all the way down. It shows, you know, all the switches are on in the on position all the way down. Now you'll notice down here that this one's off. The circuit in this particular panel is not being used, and so it's been disconnected and it's shut off. And you notice that off position is all the way to the far end. You know, and so it's not tripped, it's been actually shut off. Typically, if it's tripped on this particular breaker, you'll have an orange setting that will show up if the breaker's been popped. And one thing to note is that, you know, if you're resetting your air conditioning breaker, on this particular setup, there's actually two air conditioning breakers. This one actually goes to the condenser, so a lot of times people go in here marking things that aren't necessarily right. So you never want, unless you know for exact certainty that the particular breaker that you're flipping is indeed going to what you think it is, don't assume just because it's written on there. I find so many of them that are written on there wrong, and so you want to make sure that you know, what you're flipping is actually indeed goes to what you think it goes to before you make any changes. The main thing to note is that typically all breaker manufacturers have it to where the on position is down the center of the panel, because you know that every single breaker is flipped on in that direction. If they're flipped off, they're going to be going toward the outer edges of the panel. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, in this video you can see now that we've got a tripped breaker. Now it's only half of that breaker because that uses 220 volt poles. Now one thing to note is that if you try to reset it and you just try to push on it to turn it back on, it's not going to reset, because that orange
that orange button has to reset. So, and you won't always have this orange button on every breaker. It's only typically to square D is typically usually the only one that uses this type of indicator. Usually the breakers don't offer any indicator at all, and a lot of times it'll still look like the breaker's still on. So, in order to reset it, you have to basically take both sides of the breaker, both sides, and push them all the way to the off position. Now you notice that little orange button thing is gone now. It's reset. Now you flip it back over to turn it back on. Now, when you do that, when you turn it back on to reset it and it immediately pops back, you've got a problem. You need to call for help. That's as far as you can go, because the more you keep doing it, the more you're just going to tear up whatever it is that it's hooked up to. In this case, this goes to the air conditioner. So, if it immediately pops once you reset it, you've got a bigger problem, and you need to get an air conditioning contractor to take a look at it. So, other than that, that's about as far as you can go. That's how to reset an air conditioning breaker.
That concludes our video tutorial segment on how to reset an air conditioning breaker. There are other power systems available, such as 3-phase power. Those are more complicated systems, and we'd recommend that you get a professional to take a look at those types of systems. We thank you for viewing our video. My name is Ray Austin with Austin Air Company. If you live in the Cypress, Katy, Texas areas, you can give us a call at 832-475-6895. Or, for more information, you can visit us on our main website at www.austinairco.com. Thank you. Have a great day.